All right. Okay. Let's see this right. Let's get this taken care of right now. Get that out of there. All righty. Y'all know I do this live and direct. So it is what it is. Here we are. It's 6:30. Thursday, we back here to do it again. Hope you're doing well, having a great week. And I always start off with a question. So my question to you this week is, what difference do you make? What difference do you make? And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So we're here. Y'all see who hanging with me. So you know I'm good now. Yeah, this is what we do on Thursday. So let's go ahead and get it started on the count of three. Here we go. One, two, three. One, two, three. One more time. One, two, three. All right. So, yeah. So, was that 100 people? You saying hello?
I did, didn't I?
Yeah.
Hey, sorry. Excuse me. I always seem to be rushing when I come here. I'm either coming from out of town, other side of town. So
playing mama,
playing
like
mama.
Today. She playing mama today.
Playing mama big time today. So I just ran in. So I apologize. Hello, everyone.
So look, last week we talked about, it was in Genesis 4, and we talked about, well, let me just little backdrop real quick. We've been hanging out in the book of Genesis, just going back to the very beginning, just trying to get some understanding from the very beginning. We've been talking about a whole bunch of things over the last 4+ years, but just felt led to go back to the very beginning and just get some understanding on how all this stuff started, how all this became about. And so we just making our way on through the book of Genesis. And last week we talked about Genesis. It was in Genesis 4, and we talked about quite a few things. So you can go back and check it out from last week. Of course, I'm not going to go all the way down the road with that, but the bottom line is we gotta be mindful of how we talk to God. Number one, we might want to be mindful of that, and just make sure that what's in our heart is not full of jealousy. Because I talked about that a little bit on last week about jealousy. So just a reminder, just to we want to make sure we checking the boxes or unchecking the boxes in some cases in that situation, right? But I want to move on. We're gonna move on to chapter 5 and chapter 6 this week. We're gonna do 2 chapters this week. As we just moving on through Genesis, just to try to get some understanding about how all this started. Okay. And in Genesis 5, we move on, the couple things I got out of Genesis 5 first was it started off talking about how God, he called us human. He named us, he called us humans, right? But we were created. He reminded us again that we were created in his likeness, right? We were created. Now, when I got to thinking about that, not trying to get all super deep, but he said we was created to be like him, okay? And so we're not him, but we're being like him, okay? We're created in his image, right? So we're not God, never will be, because the first time that we messed up, and so pretty much when we was born, because we was born in the sin, our chance of being God was wiped out. So that's not gonna happen. Sorry. So reality kicks in. We're not God, okay? But that doesn't mean that we can't be more like him, that we can't create, that we can't do, that we can't be. We can, because he called us to be all those things plus some, right? Because we are still created in his likeness. So there's much that we can do, much that we can accomplish, much difference we can make. But we got to understand him, read his word, and get understanding to know who we are. When we begin to really know who we are, then we can operate in the way we're supposed to operate to be more like him. That makes sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Sorry for the background noise. They're trying to make sure that the car running okay. But yeah, so you just want to make sure that we just thinking about, I mean, you were supposed to be all of that. You're supposed to be all of that. And the question is, why aren't you? Why aren't you all that? Have you been reading his word? Have you been praying? Have you been seeking him? Have you been trying to figure out what is his will for your life? What is it that you're supposed to be doing? Not what somebody else is supposed to be doing. What are you supposed to be doing? Right? And I think if you really take the time and start to dig into that and to really begin to get some understanding about not only who he is, but who he is to you, and build that relationship, you begin to get a little deeper into who you are and what you're supposed to be doing. And that's where your peace and joy comes. Come on, Ben.
Oh yeah, I agree. And just a sidebar. Artificial intelligence is not God either.
AI is not.
Never be God.
Never will be. Never.
There are some things in life that happen that as human beings and even as artificial intelligence, we will never understand.
Right.
Never understand why it happened or what's going on.
His ways are not our ways and his thoughts are not our thoughts. Right.
Absolutely.
You know,
so we will never figure it out.
Right.
And that's going to lead us into talking about, Genesis chapter 5 and Noah.
Chapter 6, Chapter 6,
with God's plan for Noah, asking him to do something that he could never imagine why.
Yeah.
And
it didn't make logical sense.
Didn't make logical sense.
Right.
And
that's so there was a lot of, if you think about your life and some of the things that have happened in your life, interactions with various people, and we can talk about this right now because of some of the stuff we've been dealing with within our family. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make human sense. Don't make no kind of sense. I don't care what kind of adjective you put in front of it. It doesn't make sense. But it happens, right? And so sometimes you don't even try to figure it out. It is what it is. It is. So don't even waste your time trying to figure stuff out. In some cases, you just got to recognize what it is and go with it, because you trying to figure it out, all you're doing is just wasting your time and your energy, because it's not going to make sense. And thus, like we talked about right here, and we're going to get to Noah here in a second and talking, because everybody know about Noah and he building an ark. We're going to talk about that because it didn't make sense for him to build an ark, but he built it because he was told to do so. But also, one of the other couple of things I want to make a point before we get to that is here in chapter 5. One of the things that keeps coming back to me as I'm reading through Genesis is that at that time they didn't have no Bible, right? They was figuring this thing out as they went, but they had direct relationship with God, right? Jesus was still already on the scene, right? But they had a direct relationship with God, right? And so when God would speak to them to do something, they did it, or they chose not to do it, okay? Which is, why we end up with chapter 6, okay? Because man just was beginning to smell themselves, okay? And for thousands of years, because if you read chapter 5, you can read about how all these guys in here and the number of years that they lived, like they lived anywhere from 600 to 900 years, right? Can you imagine you saying I'm 585 years old? Can you imagine saying that, right? Right now it's a blessing if you can say you're 85. They talking about 585, 600 some odd years. You even had one guy who was actually the first one to really not die, but to be taken up, Enoch. That's in chapter 5. He lived 365 years. And then God said, all right, come on. He just took him. Don't make sense. Please help me understand, where he go? What happened to him? 365 years later, God said, all right, let's go. And he took him. No more words or no more thoughts about, no more anything in the Bible about him other than he was taken up. So he was the first one. It was actually, we said it was 3 people total that ever happened to. He was the first one. And so Enoch went on to be with the Lord. It didn't say anything about he died, but everybody else in that chapter 5, they died. But they lived a long time. But then we get to chapter 6, and God is getting to the point where, look here, I can't, look, man.
Man has become too wicked.
Yeah. And matter of fact, he says that God realized, I even wrote some down here. It says, because the thoughts or imaginations was consistently and totally evil. That's what it said in the Bible. That's how, if you read in the, not the King James Version, I'm reading out the New Living Translation. But the New Living Translation, it said that the thoughts or imaginations was consistently and totally evil. So he's getting to this point where, look, I'm done with y'all. I'm done. I'm done. Because I didn't create y'all to be like this. But your thoughts, what's in your heart, everything that is in you is evil. And now, as we always try to do on here, we try to relate this today to what's in the Bible. There is nothing new under the sun. There's nothing. And if you think about chapter 6 right here, a lot of the stuff he's talking about in this Bible right here that happened back then is happening today. Okay? Because a lot of the things, and I ain't not hitting to point fingers. I mean, hey, look, I always tell you, it starts right here. I'm just a messenger, but I also got to take note of myself. You know, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, you know, how I look at somebody or how I do the thoughts that come across my mind. I'd be lying if I sit here and act like I'm always trying to bless you. Right? I'm just being real. I mean, we have some thoughts in our minds and in our hearts that we know ain't nothing good about that. Ain't none good. You can, let's stop playing. Let's be real, you know? And so, but if you understand, if you think about it, because in chapter 5, I got to think about the number of years that these few people that he talked about in the Bible lived. That was a lot of years right here before we even get to chapter 6. We talking about thousands and thousands of years. And then God is like, look, man, this is just getting worse. This is just getting worse. So I'm done with it. So we're gonna wipe the slate clean and we're gonna start all over again. So then that's when he hollered at Noah. And this is why I ask you the question, what difference do you make? What difference do you make? Because it was because of Noah and his relationship with God that there was a second chance. God spoke to Noah and said, Noah, I need you to go ahead and build this ark. And I need you to put 2 by 2 of everything on the earth up in that ark with you, including your family, including the birds, including the fowl of the earth, and all the, even the little creepy bugs, all of them. So y'all blame Noah for that cockroach that is in your house. That cockroach that was crawling and that fly, y'all can blame Noah. But God told him to do it. He did exactly what God told him to do. Okay? And had not, what would have happened if Noah hadn't did that? He might would have pulled somebody else and had them do it. And I don't know. But Noah said, okay, I'm going to do it. Now, did it make sense? No. Because there won't no rain going on. But God told him, look, this is what's about to go down. Build his ark, and he gave him specific directions on how to do it, how big to build it, what to put it. He gave him all the details. And Noah followed it to a T. Thus, that was a second chance. But if you read it, and we're going to talk more about it on next week as well, but right here in chapter 6, man, God is like, I'm done. Can't do it. Come on, man.
No, I'm in agreement with you again, just emphasizing that, you know, some things that are going on in your life right now, you're scratching your head like something has to give. You know, I don't understand it. What's going on, you know, but, you know, as a message of hope, you know, just know that God has a plan, you know, for everything. So, again, don't lose hope. Don't lose focus. Don't lose sight, you know, and, you know, just stay the course. And he'll give you, let me tell you, he will give you the strength to deal with it. He will give you the strength. You just got to rely more and more on him during that period, you know, in your life. And sometimes you do get frustrated because you deal with all the wickedness. I mean, in today's time, you can't even make a phone call to anybody about a bill or about
whatever
situation without hitting a brick wall. It's always a battle, and it's always a struggle. Nothing goes easy anymore. And, I know it's a test, but again, just understand, don't lose hope with all the wickedness and the greed and all the stuff that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Corruption. Don't lose your hope.
Yeah, right. You could have just kept on. You could keep on going. Keep on going. Keep on going.
Because sometimes, you do. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I just want to throw up my hands and say, just like God did, enough with this world. Enough with this world, because the world is crazy, etc. Sometimes I just want to throw up my hands and say, I'm going to sit in this house. I'm going to turn the TV on. Look, I told my niece today, I said, you know what? I'm going to stay in this house. I'm going to get me a little tea kettle. That's going to be my life. I'm getting up in the morning, pouring tea, so I don't have to deal with all the struggles.
But then you cut TV on and you realize the struggle's still there, because the TV is full of struggles.
So it's like, and I kind of feel that that's what God kind of did, with mankind. Like, I've given you chance after chance after chance.
And I've given you everything you need.
I've given you everything you need. I've loved you. I've created you, in
my image.
Pour my spirit in you and everything. And still to no avail. I'm done. Sorry. He did save human beings by asking Noah to, get on the ark.
So he actually showed grace. He gave grace. He showed grace. He was showing that he is a merciful God. He showed that, because he was like, look, I'm done. But Noah, look here, go ahead and build his ark. I'm going to do what I said. I'm going to wipe the slate clean, and we're going to start all over again. Okay. That's exactly what he did right here. But before we go out of here, before we leave, I do want to just piggyback on what she just talked about, is that with everything that's going on out here, it is that y'all heard me talk about it before, talk about the noise, all the noise that's going on around you that is designed to distract you from what it is you're really supposed to be doing. Okay. And that distraction is there for a reason. It's there for a reason, because the enemy don't want you to do what you're supposed to be doing. And then when you talk about making a phone call, understand that you're making a phone call to a human being. Okay. And I say human being because that's what he just said right here in chapter 5. We are human beings. You're calling a human being that's probably dealing with some stuff just like you are. Right. They got their own struggles. They got their own issues. Right. And unfortunately, they bring that to work. They bring that. So with that, it didn't just fall off just because they're interacting with you. Okay. And the one thing that I heard the other day is that a lot of our frustration, y'all heard me say it before, but it resonated again, is that when we are not really operating in the vein we're supposed to be operating in, when we're not really doing what we're supposed to be doing, when we're really not chasing after what it is we're supposed to be going after, whatever his will is for our life, when we're not in that vein, we're not moving in that direction, that's where the frustration comes in. That's where the irritations come in. I mean, life is already going to be tough enough. He never told you it was going to be easy. He never told you that you won't have some struggles and some things to deal with. But we add more to it when we don't know this right here, okay? When we don't really know him, and when we don't seek him, because he told us to seek him first. And when we don't do that, things are out of alignment. And when they're out of alignment, why you expect things to flow the way they're supposed to flow?
Right.
Go ahead, man.
Go ahead. No. Out of alignment, or when we're not in place.
Yeah.
God places us in situations or at places that he needs us to be at that moment in time, because it's all part of his will. And it's, believe it or not, it's part of his will for your life. And when you're not doing or where you're supposed to be, that adds to your frustration. This person over here not doing what they're supposed to be doing adds to their frustration. No, you frustrated, they frustrated, and now y'all bump heads.
Okay? That's how some of this happens. And because there's so much corruption, so much wickedness, and we struggle nowadays even trying to find out what is the truth. What is real? What is fake? AI just talked about what's real, what's fake. They got stuff out here nowadays. You can't tell the difference if it's AI or if it's a real person, right? What is the truth? What is real? That's why I want to encourage you to just start just dabbling a little bit with this right here, okay? I ain't tell you to read the whole thing from cover to cover in one sitting, but start to read this right here so that not only you can understand who he is, but you can understand who you are. You understand who you are, and you will begin to see you're going to still have some struggles. You're still going to have some fights. This world is full of corruption. We're surrounded by it. That's why you got to get yourself grounded. Use this right here to find out who you are so that you can go forward in him and you can make the difference that you call to make.
Amen.
We out of here. You got anything, babe?
No, other than pray, plan, proceed.
Oh my gosh, this is my wife. Oh my gosh, y'all pray for me.
And make it do what it do.
And she,
did I get it right?
No. This is my wife, Lord have mercy.
What does it say?
Oh my goodness. Let's do it like this. Pray, plan, prepare, proceed.
Oh, got it.
Go make it do what it do. We're going to see you next week at 6:30. Y'all pray for us.